What's up, Tony?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 28th Planning Board meeting for the town of Dudley. Present this evening, we have Gregory Benoit, member, Daniel Edmiston, clerk of the board, Russell Giglio, member, Don Johnson, our town planner, and Carol Savard is our clerk. And the first item we have on our agenda, approval of meeting minutes from November 14th, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, I had a chance to look over the minutes, read them, and I find everything to be in order. I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from the meeting on 14th of November.
So we have a motion,
Second?
we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? I'll sign 2 copies. Okay, next item on our agenda, A&R lot for 25 Marshall Terrace. I believe this is, we're still waiting on the applicant for a decision.
She could turn down the ZBA.
Okay,
Don't know if she's going to appeal or...
so let's just take this off our agenda until she does ask us for some work. So it's all set. Okay, that takes care of that. So item C, discussion status report on finishing construction of and acceptance of uncompleted and unaccepted subdivision streets, including Pierpont Estates, Rocky Hill Estates, Piasta Road, Country View Estates, Eisenhower Drive, Tobin Farm Estates. And I believe we have Pierpont Estates with us this evening. Want to come up, Tony?
Over here, right? Okay, we're supposed to have the bond reduced today, right?
We have the estimates here, yeah.
Okay, well, with all the respect for Jeff over here, the nice man, I was able to put $270,000 to the side so I can finish the subdivision, whatever was done, right? So I spent $250,000 to do sidewalks, berm, paving the street, raised catch basins and manholes of 84 of them, $300 a piece. And I did all this for $254,000. So now what is left that I see is like we have to fence the retention basin, 4 light poles, and yes-built plan, and my friend Jeff has bond over here, estimated bond for $257,000, and this just doesn't work for me.
Okay, so where does it leave us?
Well, I don't know how, because the only thing that really works, because I have to give this guy $250,000, right? The bill is due tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, and if I I have to leave from those $270,000, if I have to leave 257 as a bond, only leaves me with about $12,000 or $15,000, something like that. And I gotta give him 250. So I don't know if I know that I have to go to a bank. I don't know if there's any possibility to, I'm not going anywhere, all right? I'm gonna stick around. If there's any way that we can make a $70,000 bond and allow me till, I'll say probably in the June, to finish everything that needs to be finished, because now we got going to the winter time. And by the end of June, or if I don't comply, just shut me down. But I need $200,000 from the 270. And that, I still have to go to a bank to get the 70,000 that I'm gonna leave.
Well, I mean, the tight spot that we're in, Tony, is that we have to take the recommendations from our professional engineer, and if a professional engineer tells us there's $250,000 worth of work left there, we have to have a bond to cover that. Because if something does happen, I mean, we know you're not going anyways, but we're all human.
Well, and if you can do nothing, I'm gone. Because I need to pay this guy, otherwise I'm gonna leave my stuff. So, I don't know if you can work these numbers out. I work on these numbers, and again, I don't know how we come up with $257,000. Basically is fence detention basins, as-built plan, and 4 street lights, and the rest is minor stuff. We're gonna clean the catch basins tomorrow. I'm meeting the guy who's gonna do the fence on the basin tomorrow at 9:30. All right, so I gotta give this guy at least under $50,000 and keep $50,000 so he can work, because I keep paying these guys, and now I'm basically flat with no money to work, and we have to work out something over here, so so it can keep me alive and get this subdivision done.
So,
Chairman, if I may.
sure.
For the record, my name is Jeff Walsh. I'm with Graves Engineering. I'm the engineering consultant for this board. Yes, we give you some history of our services and what we did for the planning board. We've been monitoring construction of the subdivision basically since they broke ground in 2006. We've worked with your staff, your previous staff as well, on construction. And one of the things we've been charged with over the years is, when requested to do so, we provide a construction cost estimate. It's an engineer's opinion, our opinion, of what the construction cost value would be for work remaining on the project. Now, when someone such as Tony goes out and does the work, they don't have to pay prevailing wages because no town funds are being used for that. However, when we prepare our cost estimates for municipality, if the municipality were to have to find the subdivision in default, take the bond, if you will, for lack of a better term, and basically use those funds to construct the project, you'd have to do so at prevailing wages. So what we use is, to the extent we can, we use Mass DOT wages, because they have a database of the last year's worth of unit prices for various work. So we, to the best we can, we use those wages. Again, they represent prevailing wages to come up with the dollar value of work remaining. So we go through item by item. We itemize it. We didn't just put out a number here and say, okay, we think it's about X amount of dollars. No, we basically start looking at the nuts and bolts, if you will, of the project, remaining things, quantify those items that need to be completed, put a cost estimate, unit cost estimate through them. And we do it line item by line item. We tally those up, and at the bottom, in addition to that, to the cost of those items, we add 20% additional, which we call in contingency and inflation. But that is truly money that would be, for any construction project, would be better set aside for contingencies, some what-ifs. And it would also, part of that money is earmarked for administering construction. So if the planning board had to find the developer in default, the town went out to bid, they'd have to hire an engineer to put together bid documents to assist the town with bidding it, with monitoring construction and so forth. So basically, it's about a 10% contingency and a 10% administration. A 10% contingency in inflation, 10% administration. So, you know, that's the document that you see in front of you. Now, Tony did a lot of work this year. We know top course has gone down, sidewalks went in, the remaining berm that needed to go in went in as well. Likewise, he was before this board a few months ago, and I was here as well, and we talked about the elimination of granite curb inlets, and that, hydraulically speaking, it was not needed. It was required by the plans, required, I believe, by the subdivision rules and regulations. But nevertheless, from an engineering perspective, they could be eliminated, and they were. And there was a cost savings to Tony as well. But after Tony had completed the work this summer, and again, it was a great benefit to the subdivision to get the top course down. We were asked to go through and update the construction cost estimates. And the project over its history was broken out into phases. Basically, there was a phase 1 and a phase 2. And after phase 1 was underway, when work in phase 2 began, that was further subdivided, and we referred to that as phase 2A and phase 2B. Now collectively, phases 1, phase 2A, and phase 2B make up the amount of subdivision where there's paved road today. The remaining part of the subdivision has yet to be called anything, and I'm thinking it's phase 2C or phase 2C and D. But that encompasses the remaining loop road that has not been constructed. It includes a wetland crossing. So again, after the work was executed earlier this year, we were asked to update the construction cost estimates, and I did so. And again, we went through, nothing magical about it. We don't just pick a number out of the sky. Itemized each item, what needs to be due, quantified them, and added them up, added the contingencies, and presented to you and with this copy to Tony. I can tell you that these estimates dated November 13th, the phase 1 estimate, that supersedes our last estimate, which was issued on October 30th of 2007, over 10 years ago. Phase 2A, our current estimate, supersedes our previous estimate of September 28th, 2011. And phase 2B, Tony started that project about a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's the smallest section from the last cul-de-sac on the left. It's the piece of Noble Street that's maybe about, I don't remember, but maybe about 400 feet long. Our last estimate before November was back in March of this year. Now, what I can tell you, and I can pass this around if you like, if you tallied up those previous estimates, that amounted to $850,000, almost $851,000 worth of work, uncompleted, as of the latest cost estimate for each phase. The current ones add up to about just short of $257,000. So net difference of work executed is about $593,000. I don't know the status of what money's available to Tony, nor should I. I don't know the status of what surety this board has before it. I'm usually never privy to that. But what I'm telling you is our estimates represent almost $600,000 worth of work. Now, that includes the recent work done this year, but other work that's been executed along the way since each of those previous cost estimates were prepared. So I came prepared to talk with you about how much does it cost to install trees and so on and so forth. I came prepared to talk with this board about if you have questions. What we provide this board is an engineer's opinion cost estimate of the work that we see remaining at the project. And we understand that any board, whether working for this town or another town, we provide you our advice, but decisions are made with the board. I can't speak for the board whether you'd want to stick with our cost estimates, go with higher numbers or lower numbers, but I can, speak to you about how we prepared our cost estimate, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so the way I understand it then, is from what you just explained to us, over the years, about $600,000 worth of work, for round numbers, was done.
That's right, since our last cost estimates, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I've got enough to spread around with everybody. I just want everybody to understand the project as I know it, and our involvement with respect to doing this cost estimating over time.
So you had mentioned the loop road, the area that could be called 2C and 2D. Have those areas been cleared yet?
They were cleared a number of years ago, and I'm not sure, really, I've never walked that section past. I've walked from the intersection where the loop road basically would come back to itself. I've walked from there up through the first few hundred feet to the wetland crossing. Tony's recently started some drainage work there. But I have not gone from the wetland crossing all the way up to where the pavement ends.
Okay.
I've walked up there to the back end. It is all cleared out. It's not graded or leveled or anything like that, but it is all cleared out.
So there's no erosion control up there? If for some reason something should happen, do we have a surety or a bond for that area?
We just cut the trees, so we didn't do nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not one of the things that I mean, I want to be able to go to a bank and get some money, so, because I want to connect that road. I want to start working there this winter, like blasting, whatever I need to blast, and connect that road and try to get it done. And again, I understand what Jeff said, but the way they do things, like I have some numbers over here. Like, first thing is, I don't know what you're gonna do with the trees, okay? Because part of that subdivision, and I have one of my buyers over here, we're not gonna be able to plant a tree in this front yard, because you got like 3 or 4 inches of loom, and that's it. And that all, I mean, the other thing is, most of the road, we have sidewalks on one side and the electrical on the other side. Unless I go into people's front yard to plant the trees, I don't think it's a good idea to plant trees over the underground electricity or on the sidewalk side. So that is one thing that I like to talk about. The other thing is, I was going over the savings over here, and we have, Jeff shows like 5 light poles, we only have 4. But it's some items like we have to dig an area on lot 2, and Jeff shows like $13,200 to loom that pond. That pond is gonna take 100 yards. Each yard of loom is $20, which amounts to $2,000. And we have a number of 13,200. So when you do, how we do these numbers, I don't know. And then we still do another 20% on top of this. And, because I know I can get this work done with $70,000. And again, I'm not eyeing anybody. The rate on the fencing company is the same no matter who does it, the town or me or anybody else. All right, the light poles, doesn't matter, no matter who does it. The electrician is gonna be there, is gonna do it, okay? So, I mean, it's just that, I mean, without, I mean, I can run these things down to 50% of what it is very easy and without,
But what you're telling us is that even at a 50% reduction, you still wouldn't have enough money. You're saying you need 70, you need it to be at 70,000, and the consulting engineer is telling us it's 257. So we got a difference of about 70%.
even if I go up 100,000, because I mean, I have to hit a bank, okay? But the thing is, if I don't come up at least $250,000 to this guy that I owe him 250, he's gonna lien my place. And that is gonna be over, okay? Right now, I don't have money to work. I mean, I wanna keep working. And I need, if I can get whatever, I gotta keep 50,000 for me and give whatever I get to this guy, this company, because tomorrow there's gonna be a guy over there working on the fence. There's gonna be a guy over there pumping, I mean, cleaning catch basins, which like on catch basins, we have like probably, I don't totally, maybe $15,000 clean catch basins. They're gonna cost me under $2,000. It's gonna be $50 a piece. All right, so that's what the guy's gonna do tomorrow. All right, so the way we come up with these numbers, that's what kills me. It's not, I'm trying to be fair, and the fair number, like I said, I have to pay everybody, and I can get everything that is there to be done with $70,000. And it's a big difference from 70,000 to 157.
Mr. Chairman, if I could speak just to the cost of, to that item, cleaning catch basins. I fully expect that if a private contractor is hired by a developer, they show up to the site, they clean the catch basins, they bring the material over to a lot nearby, Tony has ownership of, put the material on the lot and go back and clean the catch basins. The town comes in, has to finish it, you don't have the luxury of using that lot. The material has to be, when it's loaded on the truck, it has to be driven somewhere else for disposal. So it's apples and oranges in the cost, but that's part of the reason why, for that particular case. You know, I'm certainly try to be fair with my numbers, Tony.
I understand. The only thing is, your number's killing me. I mean, I'll be that, because this guy is gonna lean my place. I cannot get rid of the Hills financing, which I'm trying, because that guy is like a chain around my feet. So I wanna get rid of this guy, Hills financing, and stay with the Hometown Bank. Because this guy, I mean, Hills financing doesn't lend money because they are a business, and he doesn't, how what they say is, what is, what, he doesn't subordinate the land to the bank. So the bank is willing, I have loans approved with the Hometown Bank, but Hills doesn't sign the subordination, so I have to get rid of him. So I have to take a check. I mean, I gotta go there. I mean, they have $180,000 there, so I have to go there. I have to get a letter of credit from this bank. I mean, Hometown Bank, or a tri-party agreement, which I'm gonna give them the cash to back up their letter, whatever it's gonna be, or even give the town the cash, because that makes no difference to me. All right, and so I can get rid of Hills Finance. All right, so I'm in a tough situation over here, and I know you have to do your job, but maybe we have to figure out something. Because again, I mean, if you can't come up with a solution over here, I mean, if I go to this guy with $10,000, when I owe him 250, I don't think he's gonna be happy.
So,
Can you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
so the situation is this, the way I understand it. I understand what you're talking about. I think everybody here can understand it. The only thing is that for us to do something other than what the consultant town engineer is telling us, we're putting the town at risk. So basically I understand that you're here to try to negotiate something, so, and trust me, our job is not to put you out of business. That's the last thing we wanna do. We wanna be able to finish.
Everybody's gonna lose.
Right, we wanna finalize the subdivision.
And I'm sorry. And I think, I like to go over all these numbers with Jeff. And I think Jeff can maybe work on this bond and make these numbers work. I mean, it's not so much, but the big number is the fence, the as-built plan, and the lights. Everything else is just miscellaneous stuff, all right, that, I mean, I don't know, but I just went over the number, like the catch basins, when we have probably $17,000, it's gonna cost me under 2,000. Okay, the loom, 13,000, is gonna cost me 2,000. All right, and that's, I mean, I don't think this is a fair, I don't know, they have a way of getting their numbers, but I'm the one who have to deal with the situation.
Right.
And if I can do it,
Just wondering, can't you do most everything except maybe the loam and seed right now, theoretically, if the weather holds up?
that's what I'm trying to do. I'm meeting the fence guy tomorrow to see what time, when he's gonna start the job,
Yeah.
okay? We have like,
There's not gonna be a hard freeze for at least a week or 10 days, according to the weather forecast, so.
well, the trees, you have to figure out how many trees can we
Trees.
plant there.
Trees is another thing, yeah.
All right.
Well, I think a lot of that stuff, I think, like the fence, and maybe everything except loam and seed and wetland application, you could probably get done now pretty quickly. The poles,
Okay, this fence with the 20% is up to $42,000. Okay, I got a price from this guy on the phone between $13,000 and $14,000. Worst case, $15,000. Okay, and on this paper I got $42,000. Okay, see these numbers. I mean, I can see we have to inflate the numbers a little bit, but we tripled the thing.
if we can get, I'm saying if we can get a lot of those things done in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
But I need money. I don't have any money to work right now because, I mean, I spend the money paying these guys to get things going, right?
Right.
And right now, I mean, I need money because this guy's gonna be there with the fence, he wants to get paid. The catch basin guy wants to get paid, everyone's got to pay. Because the first thing they ask you is, you're gonna have a check on the job, right?
John, it's my understanding that the only board that can negotiate a financial agreement between the town and a third party or developer would be the Board of Selectmen. Am I right in saying that, or?
Unless it's one of the 4 types of performance guarantees
Right.
under 81U of Chapter 41.
But what Tony's asking for is for us to go below the recommended amount that the consultant town engineer is saying that we should have for surety. So, I mean, I think for us to negotiate smaller than that, I think you're gonna have to talk to, I think actually 2 people. I think you have to talk to the town treasurer and to the Board of Selectmen.
Right, but everybody's gonna rely on Jeff's number, okay? I don't know if you can work these numbers to get it down to $100,000.
What I'm saying is, can you get a lot of this work done within a short period?
I wanna get this work done right now,
That's what I
if I
mean.
can.
Right now, within the next week or 2.
See,
If you could get a lot of this done very quickly, that would,
the fence, the catch basins,
yeah.
I cannot work the loom because
We
the
know
loom is
that,
with
yeah.
all the weather we have.
Yeah.
The loom is all,
It's like onion soup, right?
it's all wet. I mean, you can't do nothing with it. I'm gonna try to dig out their pond on lot 2. And, the main things over there is the lights, 4 light poles, is a as-built plan and the fence. Everything else is like clean up here, clean up there. And I mean, I don't know, I mean, just, I just can't understand this.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
With respect to things such as street trees or how many, I mean, what I'm thinking is that if there is certain items that Tony feels that either the quantities are incorrect or the quantities are subject to discussion with the board, I'd say we need to, those would be things to talk about. Quantity obviously is gonna affect price. As far as unit rates go, I mean, I'm using a database that's based on a year's worth of bidding from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm gonna have a hard cry providing you with different unit rates that are anything substantial, and substantial deviations from what I have in here. But again, street trees, well, if there's, I didn't pull that number out of the sky. There is a requirement. I don't remember if it's on the plans or a condition of approval or something else in the record that helped me arrive at the number of trees. Same with streetlights. I didn't pull that number from the sky. Catch basin cleaning. Almost every catch basin out there is full of sediment up to the pipe going out. So that's 5 foot inside diameter times 4 feet. That's a good sized volume. I mean, if the town had to undertake that, it's substantial. If the work's done and it's not needed, then I don't see why it can't be removed from the list. The wetland replication, that's 5,000. We're carrying it because we were carrying it back in '07. I don't know the status of wetland replication. We could check with the Conservation Commission. You know, certainly if the Conservation Commission either is satisfied with that work or has surety for that work, there would be no reason for this board to be double dipping on surety. But in the meantime, we were charged back in '07 with carrying that number, and so there it is again.
But we have like the catch basin hoods, right? Showing $400 a piece. I just called the supplier called Putnam Pipe. They're gonna charge me $190 a piece. I mean, that's half of the price. Okay? And these, and plus the 20% on the top, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, a fair thing, if I come over here and you have like a $120,000 bond, I'm not even questioning, because that's already way much more money than I need to finish it up. But again, I will accept it because that's the way towns work. But the 257 is just blowing my mind. And I can't see how I'll come up with that, because I mean, like I say, catch basins, you got $8,000 difference, just cleaning catch basins. All right, we have like $10,000 just looming a basin. All right, and these numbers that you have, they're not real. I mean, these numbers, I'm sorry, Jeff, but.
Well, I think the numbers, excuse me, the numbers may not be right for you, but the numbers could be right for another contractor that has to come in, especially if he has to pay prevailing wages, especially nowadays where everybody's busy, and if the town has to go out to bids, we might get high bids simply because no one has time to do it. It might not get done in time. We also don't know when it's gonna be done. We've got contingencies in there, and for inflation, what if it's getting done 5 years from now? That might cost us twice as much. We're sitting here arguing over percentages. To get down to the number you want us to be down, we have to reduce everything by 75%. Every one of the unit prices that you're arguing, you're going down 60, 70%. You're still 5 or 10% short. I don't know if we have the authority to sit here and cut deals or not. I'm hearing that the town is being asked to take on a lot of risk that really isn't the town's responsibility to take on.
Yeah, it's basically where, I think if we were to do something like this, we would be overstepping our bounds and putting our town at risk. I mean, as far as I know, the Board of Selectmen is the only board that can negotiate a financial situation with the town. Dawn just handed me one of the orders of conditions for the subdivision, in which it says that, in the condition 12, it talks about, upon completion of clearing for the roadway as shown on the subdivision plan, an inventory of viable trees of 12-inch diameter, breast height remaining within the required front yard setback for each lot shall be conducted by the applicant and submitted to the board for approval. Upon approval of said inventory, the number of viable 12-inch trees in diameter of 12 inches or more remaining within the required front yard setback from the right-of-way of the roadway shall be calculated, and the applicant shall be deemed to have obtained a waiver for installation of said number of trees. The street trees shall be installed by the applicant, shall be installed in conformity with the subdivision regulations, taking into consideration the inventory of existing trees. The location of street trees shall be installed by the applicant is subject to planning board approval. So there was a condition in your covenant back then that said that if you had left 12-inch trees basically in the front yard of houses, 12-inch or larger trees,
Well, I'm not really questioning,
Right.
Jeff, about the trees. I mean,
so Tony, if there's a, I would just added up what it came to for trees, and it was close to $30,000 for trees. So, I mean, if you can go take an inventory of how many trees are in front of the houses that you built, if there are trees there that are left, then you could, we could waive the trees if you have enough trees left.
I think some trees we may have to wait, because, I mean, unless I blush, I have to blush plant a tree.
Mm-hmm.
All those lots at the top of the hill, between Station 23 and Station 32, it's all ledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's all blush, all right? So, and the rest, the only place that we don't have a problem with trees is from Station 32 to Station 45, inside the road, because there's no electrical, no sidewalks. So,
So Jeff has 58 trees on the list. How many lots do you have up there right now that are completed?
we have, let's see, about 40 lots.
Okay, so he's probably figuring about 1.5 trees per lot or something like that.
I think Jeff's gonna buy I'm okay with that, I mean, believe me. The only thing that I don't understand is these numbers over here.
Right.
I mean, like, a yard of loom is $20.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's gonna take, because it's 8,000 square feet, each yard is equals to 80 square feet, okay? And 100 yards is exactly what I need to loom that. So that is not, that's gonna cost more money in labor, whatever, it's material, all right? So, and I mean, 10,000 is 10,000. They go 10,000 there, 10,000 on catch basis, and just adds up.
Right. And I mean, but you gotta understand his point, like he said, he has to take everything from a prevailing wage standpoint. He has to do it, he cannot be under, and that's why the 20% contingency is on top of that, because he cannot be under. He doesn't want to leave the town holding the bag for anything. And we understand where you're at. So, I mean, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but from, I understand your situation where you are. I think if you want to be, if you need to get to where you want to be, I don't think it's within our purview to go that low, because I don't think our engineer might be able to sharpen up the pencil, but I don't think he's going to get to where you want it to be. Is that, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. I mean,
Okay.
if I was to revisit things and there's other sources of information, I still need to compare apples with apples, prevailing wages. The fact that a contractor working for the town has no ability to take resources off any of the individual lots, has no right to take, use the lots for anything. Stripping topsoil, if they're stripping topsoil from the area they're working, they can reuse it. They're gonna have to screen it.
Right.
If they come up short, a wooded area, rocky wooded area, they have to buy it, haul it in, place it. I mean, these are the numbers that Mass DOT does a tremendous amount of work with. Granted, it's geared up to doing a Route 12 or Route 20 or
Right.
so on and so forth, but still, it's the same types of infrastructure that we deal with on a regular basis in a subdivision road. I wish the numbers were better for your favor, Tony, but I've got to look at it from my client's perspective. They don't have the ability to work on any of the lots. They don't have the ability to take the resources from the lots, dump on the lots. If there was a pile of topsoil sitting on one of the undeveloped lots, they wouldn't have the right to use that, unless somehow the town had the ability to go on that lot or gain access to that loan. But, you know, quite frankly, it's having worked through a number of these situations where surety was called upon to finish back about 10, 12 years ago when the economy was down. It's never fun undertaking to try to work
Right.
with the town and with surety companies to finish these up.
So I think my recommendation to you, Tony, would be I would see if you could get yourself a meeting. I think Don would be happy to go to the meeting and explain from the planning board side the situation. You can surely explain your side of the situation. Don can be there. And sit down with the Board of Selectmen or the town administrator, because he has authority to work on their behalf, and, you know, at least he can get the information and explain it to them. And also the town treasurer, to see, you know, if there's gonna, you know, I mean, we could definitely reduce your bond with whatever it is now, down to this 250, that's not a problem. We could surely do that now, no problem, no questions asked, because that's what our consultant town engineer is telling us needs to be left for a surety. So we could definitely reduce whatever you have for a surety now, down to the 250.
$15,000. If we reduce to, from whatever it is, I mean, I have $270,000. If you reduce to 257, gives me $17,000.
Chairman, I'm in a little bit of a loss there. $270,000 is the surety on your project?
No, $270,000 is money that cash that I gave Hills. Because I came up with a number when I put a price, when this guy gave me the price to do what he did. All right, then I went to Hills, all right, and I gave them $180,000. That's what the number was, plus the $90,000 that I have on the last strip, the last piece that we did now. So I have $180,000 at Hills financing, and $90,000 at Hometown. All right, that's $270 that I gave them in cash. Okay, so now to get a tri-party agreement for $257 is gonna leave, I gotta give them the money so I can get a tri-party agreement, or give the 257 to the town, doesn't matter. All right,
Are they still on the hook for this remaining amount? Or from the previous lender's agreement and from the letter of credit?
well, the thing over here is that, I mean, I have to get rid of this guy, the Hills Financing. Okay, so I can go to a bank because they don't subordinate the bonds. And if they don't subordinate to a town, I can get any money from a bank. They don't give you money or nothing. Okay, so I have to clean up with hills, all right? So I can go to a bank and get money to finish up their road. I mean, just, I like it. I want to get out of there. I probably get out of there sooner than I was thinking, because again, if we can't do nothing, I can't do nothing.
How is this bond only 270,000?
What's that?
How is this bond only 200, how do we only have 270,000 in surety when we had a number of 800,000?
Well, the way I read what Jeff gave us tonight is that we were holding $330,000, we're releasing $154,000. So that can remain in that lenders agreement. Same with the next one. Substantial reduction on that one. That lenders agreement will remain at 71,820, and the letter of credit remains at 30,270.
Do you have your copy of the meeting minutes from last month's meeting, or last week's meeting? There's a line item in there talking about the surety. I think it says something along the lines of we had 800,000 originally, and it was going down. Yeah, there it is.
850.
All right.
This is what he just gave us, so.
That's what I'm trying to say, is that at some point,
850 down to 250, basically 257, so that's a difference. From what we're seeing here, Tony, is that you had previously almost $851,000 worth of surety for the subdivision, and now it's down to 257, so that's a difference of almost $594,000.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, I know that, but the only thing is, I mean, what am I gonna do?
If you
I
get,
don't know if Jeff can rework these numbers to get it down to 50% of what it is, and the town will be protected there, because it's way, and I mean, I'll keep working on this thing, I'll be there tomorrow, try to get that fence in place. The catch basin are gonna be clean tomorrow, we're gonna get those hoods in place. Whatever we can do, we're gonna do it. Except the loom.
if you can do a lot of this stuff over the next 2 weeks, maybe we can just about get it down to that figure.
Oh, I wanna do it. That's what I wanna do. I'm gonna be doing it. I'm meeting people over there tomorrow. I mean, the catch basin is supposed to be clean yesterday. The guy, I guess he got sick, called me in the morning, said he'll do it. He'll be there tomorrow morning.
If I could just ask for clarification, the 850,000 that we had originally, is that for the whole entire subdivision, or is that only for the phase 1,
Whatever's
2A,
been paid.
and 2B?
Only for phase 1, 2A, and 2B.
All right, so now we're starting 2C and 2D. Do we have any
Well-
surety for that?
No.
All right, so,
He has no
Never
lot,
established.
he has no lot releases for those.
right, but
still
there's
only
been
covenant.
clearing done, and if no work gets done up there, then we have
Roadway.
erosion we have to take care of.
Roadway clearing.
Roadway clearing.
Yeah, those
I'm
lots
not-
are not cleared yet, right, Tony? On the last phase, the lots have not been cleared, just the roadway's been cleared.
Not the lots, just the
Yeah,
road.
just the roadway.
my understanding is he had 700,000 in surety as of last week, and he was asking us to reduce it down to the 257. Where did that 400 and change go?
Thank you, I'm having the same question. I'm under the impression that this board had probably in the ballpark of $850,000 in surety. And with this almost $600,000 reduction,
So I
I'm
think
at a
we
loss
do
as
right
to
now,
why.
we do still have it until we officially take a vote and send a letter to Hill Financial or
Well,
bank, or Tony delivers it to them or whatever.
But this is the thing, you have a reduction of $600,000, that cost me $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the problem. You have a
Understand that,
reduction of
understand that,
600,
yeah,
that cost
yeah.
me 250.
No. It costs $250 for the work you did this year, top course sidewalks, berm, but there was a significant amount of drainage work in phase 2A that we carried back in 2011 that you completed sometime after 2011, but long before this year. There was work in phase 1 to some extent that was completed between '07 and prior to 2018.
Yeah, okay, I mean, yeah, I was just listening to the numbers over here.
Understood. But I'm on board with you. I'm at a loss as to why, in theory, I had provided estimates to this board over the years that amounted to $850,000.
Mhm.
That's as far as our services go. I don't know what happens in the type of surety, the instrument, who reviews it, counsel for the board of, I don't know what happens in town hall. But I'm thinking that there might have been surety in the ballpark of 850. And if it was $600,000 worth of work done for 250, you take the $600,000, you pay the 250, you got 350,000 over. So I'm at a loss as to why we're dickering over 50% of the remaining work.
Jeff, whatever is there is a piece of paper that,
No, I get
that
that, but
Bill's put over there.
we reduce
Just a
it.
piece of paper that they holding on my, the rest of the price, that's why I can't go to a bank, because they know that their letter is more, it's there.
Okay.
And they don't release anything to another bank, so I'm stuck. So the thing, I mean, if I have to leave it at 257, I have to grab all this money, go to Hill, and just give them all the money, or give all the money to the bank, so we can get a tri-party agreement or whatever, or give all the money to the town, 257,000, so I get rid of the Hills. But the thing is, I'm left with no money to pay this guy that did the work. You don't think you can shave this to 50%?
Oh, gosh, no.
No.
Tony, I would not be doing my client any justice, do
What
something
about
like
if you
that.
do 50% of the work very quickly? If you can. That's what I'm saying. If you do 50% of this work over the next couple of weeks, would that be a help?
It-
Lower it to 257.
Yeah, I
Back
mean,
in 2 weeks.
do you want us to vote tonight while we're here to lower the bond for the subdivision down to 257? Because we can do that. I mean, at least you're there. And like I said, if you want to negotiate that lower, or try to make a financial agreement, I mean, basically, we're not allowed to make financial agreements on behalf of the town. You have to talk to the Board of Selectmen and the treasurer. I mean, we can't do that here. We're an elected official, but we don't have that capability. The Board of Selectmen has to negotiate all.
I have one lender's agreement here dated January 24th, 2007. Still in effect for $300-some-thousand. I have a tri-party agreement of surety, irrevocable letter of credit, prepared upon estates dated October 5th, 2011. And the amount on that is $432,165. Can't we take the reduction on those, send a letter over to Hill? And if you can do, say, half that work that Jeff had listed, like talking about cleaning the catch basins, talking about putting up a fence, maybe putting up light poles, maybe even starting the as-built plans, you can get that done within the next 2 weeks. The planning board meets in 2 weeks, and maybe they can take away another half of it.
Well, if I get the fence in place, I have a reduction of $42,000. All right? But my point is, if it's gonna cost me $13,000 or $14,000,
Yeah.
why you have a $42,000 for that fence? I mean, if it's 15,000, could it be like 20,000 or 25,000?
Right, but
All right.
again, he's got to take into consideration that it's prevailing wage, that it's being overseen by an engineer that we have to pay. I mean, it's not, none of us, we're all volunteers here, and we're not, if your subdivision goes in default, we're not gonna show up at the subdivision and oversee the work that's being done.
Okay.
So we have to hire an engineer. Typically, we would hire Graves to finish, to do the work for us.
So if I get that fence in place this week, I can come over here the next meeting and get $42,000.
Because Jeff would go
Yeah.
out and do an inspection and see that the fence is done and cross it off the list, right?
Yeah, that's the way it works. Same
Yeah,
with
I mean,
catch basin cleaning.
If the catch
Yeah,
basins,
but I wish you guys could come up close to, I mean, if, like I said, like, if I have a price for $14,000, why I mean, going from 14,000 to 42.
I can paint my house for $1,000. If I have a painter come over and paint it, it's gonna cost me $10,000. And if I have some painter out of Boston whose union come out to paint my house, it's gonna cost me $15,000.
Well, yeah, but
This isn't about what you have to pay, it's about what the town has to pay if the work has to get done at some point down the road. We understand that you can do it for less, but it's
Right,
not
but
about
I
you
mean,
doing it, it's
the
about
town
the
can
town
hire the
doing
same
it
guy.
with town, has to go to public.
If
Public
to put it
bid.
out to bid, and it's gonna be all union workers that come to do the job. And we have to pay an engineer or a clerk of the works on top of that to review everything and see it done. I mean, that's why, you know, this building, when we did remodeled this building, it was $7.5 million.
Okay, the trees, what we can possibly do the trees.
I mean, we've waived trees before. I mean, if you've got 40 lots up there, my recommendation would be to talk to the people that are living there now and see if everybody would be agreeable to you giving them a tree planted wherever they want in their front yard. Because like you said, you don't want to put them on top of the power lines, and we definitely don't want to put them, you know, we can't put them in ledge. We can't put them on top we don't want to put them on top of the power lines or the utilities and have them grow in there. We don't want to put them close to the sidewalk and have it just push up the sidewalk that you just built.
We don't want to have it next to a septic system either. Maybe some of those, you know, pretty close to the
Do you
front
have the
yard, who
other
knows?
lending agreement?
I didn't get them all. So, I mean, I would see if you could talk to the homeowners, you know, personally, and if they would be in agreement to letting you plant one tree per lot on their lot someplace, you know, that's gonna be a lot less trees. Instead of 58, we're down to 40, and if you're and you would,
Specific tree that I have to put in, or?
I believe what we had in the bylaws was a 2-inch caliper tree, is what we consider for street trees, and then there was a list of different trees you could buy. There was like red maples, silver maples,
Usually it's maple trees.
Right.
It's just stuff that, I can check with everybody, and again, I mean, we
mean,
can
there's a-
probably have a deduction on the next meeting for the, if I know them, I mean, I'm not gonna plant the trees, I mean, I don't know.
No, you wouldn't plant the trees, but if anything else, you could inventory, go, you know, on your, not me doing it, but you and your team doing it. You look at the subdivision, you look at each of the lots along the section of paved road, where have street trees not been planted and mature trees are no longer present, and come up with, quantify that way and be specific to the board. X number of trees, whether it's on a sketch or but a way to identify how many trees and where they would be planted, then you've got something in front of you to consider.
If-
Likewise with the wetland replication, we could talk with conservation and see where they stand with the wetland replication, whether there's surety over there for that, or whether the work's been satisfactorily performed. I mean, the only reason it's there is I was asked to put it on in '07. And I believe I was asked to put it there because there was no surety elsewhere, but don't quote me on that, because it's been a long time. Likewise, for any other things that you feel the quantities are out of line, let's talk about it. I can say that I'm confident in the quantities, I'm confident in the unit prices. I can also say that we do this quite often, a lot of municipalities. I've had the opportunity every once in a while to compare notes with developers and how we doing quantity-wise, unit price-wise. Sometimes maybe the line item when you get to the total, discounting or also accounting for the difference between private rates and prevailing wages. We're in the same ballpark as these other guys.
Isn't there an approved set of civil plans or landscaping plans that show how many trees?
The trees are not specifically shown as they would be on a landscape plan for site plans. There are some notes, I believe, on the definitive plans. I'm relying on the definitive plans, whatever notes were in there, as well as the written decision of this board, and, subdivision rules and regs when I have to fall back on that. If a waiver was granted from street trees, obviously I wouldn't carry street trees, but that wasn't the case. I don't recall a landscape plan. Nowadays, more often than not, we are seeing a plan that's got all the trees plopped down. Some towns might be 70 foot on center, some on 40 foot on center. It works a lot nicer when we have a landscape plan, because, okay, we discount for the easements and driveways and so forth, and,
But
it's
I
not,
mean, to that effect, based on the conditions that I read earlier, the condition that I read earlier, Tony, if you've got 40 houses built up there in 20 lots, there's still trees planted in the front yard that were original trees, and they're still growing, they're mature trees, then there may not be a need to put a street tree in on that lot. Is what I'm
Okay.
s- You know, so you could reduce that by, half right there, if that's the case.
If, I know that I cannot plant a tree in the front of Russell's yard.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can speak, I would say that I live at 28 Noble Street, which is in Pierpont Estates, just for the record. And I can tell you that there will be no possible way to put a tree, at least in my front yard, due to the amount of ledge. I have about 4 to 6 inches of loom right now. For me, looking at this, and I think about back to phase one, obviously I'm relatively new to the planning board, but we still have items left undone from phase one. These residents have been in their houses for, 10 years. Still don't have streetlights, still don't have chain link fence, from the catch basin. So I'm not sure, I think the trees is probably something that we're gonna have to discuss with Mr. Secura on that. But as far as the streetlights go, the chain link fence goes, if the numbers are, if you feel like the numbers are high, obviously, Mr. Walsh from Graves Engineering has put this estimate together, like we said, based on the, numbers that are provided by the DOT. So I don't think those numbers are gonna change. I think the only thing that we can change is the work that's done. So if we can say, if the streetlights and the chain link fence all adds up to a lot of money, and we don't think that, we don't wanna hold that money anymore, like, just get the work done. That'd be my take on it.
I have some lots there, like the lot across the street from Russell. There are about probably 4 or 5 trees in the front yard. Is there count for anything, or?
Yeah, that's what the conditions said that I read earlier, that if you left trees, up to 12 inches in diameter that were left there to mature, then that could definitely count as a street tree for you,
There counts for 1 lot or for 4 lots or 5 lots? If I have 5 trees there.
Depending on the conditions, I think. Like Russell was saying about,
Basically, it said that the
Ledge.
condition said, give us an inventory of what you have. So if you have 10 lots, and 10 lots have 4 trees in front of it, there's 40 trees that were left there. We would look at that versus the number of 58 trees that you're supposed to put in, I mean, the thing of it is that I'm sure there's house lots up there that have no trees in the front yard, and maybe the people don't want them. And that's the other thing too. I mean, we've had situations where we've got subdivisions that came up to the end to be finished, and that was the last thing that needed to be done, was street trees put in, and we had people come in and say, I don't want any tree, I got sprinklers in my front yard, I don't want any trees, I don't want anybody coming in and digging up and putting trees in, I want it to be the way it is. And I've lived there for 10 years, and I'm happy with it that way. So obviously, we're not gonna force those people to take a tree at their house, so you wouldn't have to do that.
Okay, so what I have to do is go talk to people, and if they don't want it, they have to write, give me something in writing saying that,
Yeah, I mean, if they don't want a tree, then that's a plus for you. If they would like a tree, then, you would be obligated to put them in one someplace. If you
And,
can't put it in the front yard, then put it in the side yard.
do we have the front yards of septic systems in the front? Do any of the yards have septic systems in the front, or are they all in the back, or in
well,
the?
that's right, and some of those, yes, some mostly have a septic system in the front too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know
Careful
that, so
about that.
we're gonna depend on you to explain that to us, We need well, like Jeff said, we need a planting plan.
I'm just trying to, because I mean,
inventory.
I don't know if I'm gonna just walk out of that place, honestly, because this guy's gonna be looking for check, all right? And if he leaves that place, I'm dead, because I cannot go to a bank looking for money, if I have a lien on the place for $250,000. All right, so, that may be the end, but I'm gonna, just for whatever. Okay, so if you wanna vote on the 257, we do that, and whatever happens, happens.
We can do that for sure, and like I said, if
We,
you want to negotiate it lower than that, then you need to be talking to the Board of Selectmen or their representative, which I believe is the town administrator and the treasurer.
Yeah, but
And-
those things will take too much time. I don't have time, because I mean, yeah, so, again,
And I don't understand, because it seems like these financial institutions are obligated to the agreements that they put forth. They're obligated by the agreements they put forth. Whether you paid, or they paid, or anybody paid, they're still obligated to these lenders agreements, isn't that the case?
I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
what-
so, I guess if there's no alternative, we're gonna vote on the 257, and you'll find out if it's gonna happen. But I'm mad. I just can't take this stuff because of these numbers. So, please, can you vote on 257?
Yes.
And I mean, I
Just can't.
probably, if I don't see me again.
Is there a lot of this work, it can be done very
I
quickly?
did, but I'm tied up. I mean, I.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a
some
motion
money,
to,
and I don't have money.
Vote to lower the
Because
surety
this
based
thing is
on
wrong.
Graves Engineering,
This whole thing is wrong.
$257,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. That's all we can
Right.
do right now, Tony.
I can't believe we just spent an hour talking about that, quite frankly.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming this morning, at the phone call this morning.
Well, thank you for coming, Jeff, I appreciate it, but I
Welcome.
mean,
Thanks for your patience.
Welcome.
Appreciate your
No,
assessment.
hey, we're all rowing for the same team, guys. Quite honestly, like we talked about, if the, you know, something's a little bit high, something's a little low, make adjustments, but we're not gonna see a 50% difference.
Do I need anything for, maybe Dawn tomorrow?
Issue a letter.
we'll have a letter
I
for
think
you.
we can break it down into the three sections, if that's helpful.
A letter of reduction for each, for phase 1, phase 2A, and 2B.
Yeah.
That way the letters can go to the different financial institutions.
Thank you for everything.
Okay,
I still don't understand why.
Let's drop this.
yeah, I mean, it's not up to us to, you know, we can't run his business for him. That's what it comes down to, so. All right,
All right, gentlemen,
thank you again. Thank you again for coming.
you're welcome. Thank you for the work. Sorry it had to end this way, but
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Walsh, appreciate it.
appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So, Rocky Hill Estates, has there been any, no more work on that one?
He did come in, Mr. Tranik, he did come in, talked to me for a few minutes, and he said he'd like to hopefully finish it next year,
Okay.
so, see.
Piastre Road, we already got that scheduled to be done in sometime in 2019. So Country View Estates, Eisenhower Drive, and Tobin Estates. I attended the Board of Selectmen meeting, I think it was on the 19th, Monday the 19th, if that was right, and talked with the chairman and let him know that we have to, in my opinion, have a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen to come up with a solution for the issues with both of these individual subdivisions. Basically, Eisenhower Drive being, how do we finish that subdivision? There was talk about the sanding and sealing of the road. I know there's been an opinion issued for that, so we have to deal with that. Tobin Farm Estates, there's, the other issue with Tobin Farm Estates is, basically, we have the money that's left in the account, $16,000-17,000, roughly,
Tobin?
yeah. More or less.
13.
Okay, 13,000, so there's some money left in the account for there, but there's a lot of remaining work that needs to be done. I think the developer is gonna ask that a lot of it be waived. So we have some legal opinions from town council on that, so we have to have a discussion on, you know, what is the town willing to waive, what is the town not willing to waive? And, I think you were at the same Board of Selectmen meeting I was at, when they said that they wanted everything in writing, and They wanted legal opinions before we waived anything, and that's what we've got for them, so we need them to give us some direction on, because ultimately it comes to them to accept the road, so I don't wanna tell a developer that we're gonna waive something, and then they, or agree that we could waive something because they don't have the money to provide that feature, whatever it is, be street trees or sidewalks or detention basins or whatever, and then in the end, find out that the Board of Selectmen's gonna refuse to take the road, because it doesn't really put anybody in any better situation. So, I think we need to, on those two, we need to be on the same page, basically. So, I talked to the chairman, he understands, so whether that's gonna happen at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, I don't know, but I did ask Don to post us a meeting for the same night, in case they want us to talk to them. And not everybody has to be there. I know I could be there, and if one other, you're all invited, but if you can't be there, I think we just need to get direction from that board to make sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes.
It's coming Monday at 6:30.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have a meeting posted, so if you would like to attend that meeting, that's fine. We won't be in any.
I should be able to make it with you.
That would be great, that would be great. At least if there was two of us there, in case somebody doesn't hear everything the right way, we got a second opinion. And I'll take care of those two. Item D, final inspections associated with site plans, including AMP Solar. Don, you said you were trying to have a conversation with the engineer for that.
I did get hold of him,
Okay,
but he was looking for us to give him a punch list, but I said, we can't give you a punch list unless you go there with us.
okay. And has consultant town engineer Graves been out there at all that you know of?
No, they haven't, but he's aware of it. I've talked to Jeff about it a couple of times, so.
Okay, so
When the
that's-
time comes, we will go out there.
so the
We'll
client,
go out there with the applicant's engineer as well.
yeah, so the applicant knows what's necessary. He needs to have his engineer and our engineer meet, and then they work out the details.
Possibly the Conservation Commission engineer too, although there wasn't any conservation work on site per se, no buffer zone work, that is.
Okay,
There was an effect of the runoff on some downstream areas.
okay, and under unfinished and old business, we have a discussion on the status of the economic development planning, including integration of the 2015 Village District Study within results of Village District Walk, and that was under A, and B is Phase 2 Economic Development Strategy Plan Agricultural Forum, which is coming up on Saturday, December 8th, 1 PM in this room.
The Grange.
It's at the Grange. Okay, I didn't know that. And potential priority development of the village district areas. So I think that's our next big thing is the,
Next big thing, yes, possibly working in with the block grant or a couple of grant programs that we can work in to do some mitigation work on utilities, sewer and water. Yeah, that's with CMRPC as well, one of their representatives in that. Hopefully I can get a meeting next week, see if there's anything we can do along those lines. That's part of it, this part of it. Also, the woman who's working on the strategic, the economic development strategic plan is going to meet with some landowners in those areas he designated as economic development areas. Priority development areas, I should say. Which is like Schofield Avenue, the area adjacent to the mill, in the town line, and the area generally in the vicinity of the plaza, and between that and the what's campus, college campus.
so the next, I'm gonna say special meeting would be the one that we got scheduled for the December 8th at the Grange at 1 PM. And that's have to do with
What's
the,
that too?
and that's with the agriculture.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a form
I think there's a handout in our book about that.
Right.
Yes. It's the letter we sent to all
Tab
the 61A properties.
And Dawn, you did give us tonight your annual, employee review, your self-employment review.
It's
and-
really through July 1st though, so.
Okay,
kind of
And-
puts
you're sending us you're emailing us the forms that we need to fill out.
flag forms, yeah.
Okay. So if everybody could take a look at that, that would be great.
It kind of puts Russ and Greg at a loss, I guess.
I mean, they can just, you know, they can do it for what they've seen since they've been here. I mean, we always have the situation where one or two people are new and they don't really know what's going on. So,
I mean, you know what's going on, but really, I mean, technically.
I think they're smart enough to know that the work behind the scenes is getting done and somebody's doing it, and that has to be you and Carol. It's not like,
Technically,
That's
it's,
about the sum of what I
we're
know,
not
yeah.
writing minutes and publishing all the stuff that we have at these meetings ourselves, so,
yeah.
Oh, you're not?
no. Okay, anything else? Anything from the board?
Not at this time.
Motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
On the motion? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.